Hey guys, we are live. I guess I forgot to put my microphone in, but that's all right. I just wanted to go live today really quick so that I could tell you guys what was going on and talk to you, see if there's any concerns that you guys have and anything you may want to talk about. I didn't really schedule this. I did allude to the fact that I was going to do it earlier on the gram, but not everybody from Instagram follows directly to YouTube and vice versa. So, lots been going on lately. As you guys are aware, um, I am now an affiliate for Optics Planet and for PSA. Honestly, with PSA, what's up, Kenny? With PSA, I might not have become an affiliate with them if they only sold Palmetto State Armory gear. But since I was finding good deals on other stuff like mags and everything else on there, um, I figured that they're still a good source, and and we're gonna test them out, see how things go. Maybe I constantly get bombarded with bad information about them. We'll see if anything changes. Hey, good to have you, Jack. So you may have noticed that I haven't had a lot of videos up in the near recently. I do have videos already filmed and ready to go up, but I threw out my back on Sunday, which is why I'm like not really sitting. I'm kind of laying down like some kind of bum right now because sitting is probably the most painful thing for me right now. For the same reason, my slings are a little bit delayed at the moment, but slings for my Christmas sale will go out this week and should be out by Christmas. I'll probably get them finished up and shipped tomorrow. So all of that's just because I'm having a really hard time right now. It wasn't anything serious, and I can walk, I can stand. The worst thing is sitting down, so sewing would be very difficult. But I've been spending most of my time in bed, which is like torture. Um, so that's the kind of the biggest update. If you've been wondering why I haven't been updating my progress or whatever, or putting up videos right now, filmed videos. I have uh, the world's first powerlifting gym in Tempe, Arizona. I did a quick video about that I want to get up, and I really want to review some knives. What actually sucks is yesterday or Monday, I think it was, yeah, yesterday, we had this huge thunderstorm all day with a crazy amount of rain, like very unusual, flooding all over the place. And I really wanted to get out and do an adventure video and some knife reviews and stuff because the weather was just so unique and cool. I could have gotten some amazing shots, but I couldn't really walk, so that wasn't going to happen. Um, I also did bring a pen and paper here in case anybody's got any requests or anything I need to write down that I need to remember. But I've been sharing more scriptural information and political information, and people are just not liking it at all, which is all right. It's got to get out there. So, Jack, yes, I am still testing the jackalope. Um, so, what I'm about to do, my I expect that my order of adventure craft knife kydex should all probably be back around mid-January. But before that happens, maybe the weekend after Christmas, I'm going to open up a pre-order list. I think I'm going to open up that pre-order list for a maybe a month. Um, and what that's going to allow me to do is I do plan on getting some factory jackalopes out and some more adventure crafts, obviously. But what the pre-order is going to allow me to do is it's going to allow me to offer a lot of custom options and also normal factory options for people who don't want the stress of having to wait for a drop and whether or not they're going to be able to get one or get one in time before they sell out. It's going to let people, those people worried about that, order one. They know that they're going to get one. Sadly, they know they're going to have to wait about 6 months to get one. But it's also going to allow people to get some custom options. It's going to make it easier for me because a lot of my custom options, the materials are going to be, I believe, coming from Email Epoxy Labs in Poland. It's not going to be easy shipping over a lot of the colors and materials that I'm going to be shipping. But if I do it as a pre-order, that will make it much easier. It won't take any extra time because Mineral Mountain Hatchet Works will be making the knives, and by the time the knives are ready, the micarta should be in. He does a great job of shipping. He does a great job of making knives as well, by the way. Um, if you are a fan and follow me on Instagram or on Facebook, what I will do is tonight I will share a post from Email Handmade Knives, uh, and he is the one who will be making some of my custom micarta, I believe. I'm 99% sure at this point. My backup right now is Brisa Ltd in Finland. So if Poland doesn't work, I'll have to go to Finland. Um, I don't know why they're the only countries that I can find making factory quality, normal quality factory neon orange micarta. Nobody else wants to do it, but they do phenomenal work, beautiful colors, even besides orange. And I want to be able to offer a lot of that. And so this pre-order will allow me to do that. So I'm really excited about that pre-order, and it will also, the pre-order will be open to Adventure Crafts, special edition jackalopes, because they'll likely be the first production models, and French Foreign Legion fighters. And we're going to have two types of French Foreign Legion fighters available. One with a fuller and a guard that will be more expensive with the two colors of handle material, just as a replica of the original modified 1903 or 1903 bayonets modified by the French Foreign Legion, or we will offer a model that is uh, full tang, no fuller, integral guard, which means they'll just have a little guard that's a part of the tang of the knife itself, and your choice of handle material, and and that will be more affordable depending on the handle material chosen. Rick, good to have you, bud. Frey, good to have you. So this pre-order is going to open up some capabilities that have not been possible in the past, and I believe that's what I'm going to do in the future. Is all of my knife models, I'm going to offer standard um, natural micarta and black micarta, and that's it. Practical lever shooter, how you doing, man? And then if people want fancy materials, they're going to have to pre-order, and they're going to have to wait 6 months. And that way I'm not spending a lot of extra money trying to get fancy knives in with my standard runs. I want my standard runs to be in larger numbers so that people that want the designs can get them, and who don't want all the fancy stuff. The fancy stuff's going to be expensive. I can't help it. I wish I could get it all cheaper. I just can't. But it will give the people that want that and can afford that option. So I'm excited. I'm excited about that option. So that's kind of what I've got going on. 2020. Let's see. I'm going to be working. I've got knives from Work Tough Gear that I'm going to be reviewing. I've got a custom from Shagot, handmade in Poland, a Polish tracker that I'm going to be testing very soon. And we've got some other stuff coming up for 2020 that I'm excited about. I need to get on my Wilderness Innovations poncho. I think the poncho is just an absolutely crucial part of anybody's kit, and it's just got to be a good one. The tarp just doesn't cut it. The poncho kept me alive in Afghanistan, guys. I mean, it's a absolutely vital piece of kit. One change that I'm planning for 2020 is I do want a shovel. for my adventures. I'll probably go with a cold steel, maybe with a Grizzly Outdoors Kydex sheath for it. And I've been using the saw more often. I'll be doing a review on the Silky. If anybody's curious, I've used the Baco Laplander and the Silky saws, and I don't see myself ever get going back to the Baco. Oh, and as Rick mentioned, I will be testing a Case Winkler Skinner as well for 2020. I'm very excited about that. I think Winkler makes some incredible knives. As I understand it, he's basically the father of ADC RV2. And Winkler is almost a production level maker. Um, he's got a very unique foothold in the knife industry, and I'm very intrigued by it, and I'm excited to get one of those in hand. Also, I have a subscriber and follower that is sending me a knife from Ghostman or Ghostman. I say I just botch it, and so if anybody's offended, I apologize. I always say Ghostman. I can't help it. But a big old bolo in A2 designed by, well, it's made by Ghostman and designed by Estella. Um, the I think it's Kevin Estella. I talk to him all the time, but I'm having a brain fart. He does. I think he's an editor for like Recoil, and he does all kinds of survival training and all kinds of cool stuff. He does a lot of work with Ghostman. He designed the Polaris, as I understand it, as well. So I've been excited to get my hands on a Ghostman knife for 3 or 4 years, I think. So I'm really excited to get this big old beefy chopper in and test that. If you guys haven't noticed, there's been a bit of a shift in this channel. And when it comes to knives, because there's been many shifts in this channel, but when it comes to knives, I started out reviewing mostly big knives and small knives. I really like big knives and small knives. I've started to move into medium-sized knives, but the reason that I really like testing big knives is because the standard is so high. Because if the design of a large knife is off, it drastically affects performance. You can't just take your normal knife and put a bigger blade on it and call it good. And so with a big knife, I have so much to talk about. I can talk about how it chops, batons, does fine work, and there's so much I can do with a big knife, and I really like reviewing them. And when I review a pocket knife or a smaller knife, I'm like, it cuts really good, it's really comfortable, it carves, I really like it for this, this, and the other, but I can't talk about all of these other things that I do with it. And so, be that as it may, I will be reviewing more medium and small knives in the future and gun stuff as well. I'll also be starting a new job very shortly. Actually, I might start it next week. A old time, really good friend of mine, one of my best friends, who I actually view as a younger brother, has started a tile business and had become very successful, has employees, and wants me to be a manager with that. And so I don't know exactly how that's going to affect this channel. Um, I know that I did slow down on this channel with the content that I produced while I was working this summer. But I believe that I have no question in my mind, I will still be putting at least 1 week video a week up, and I hope that that one video will be of higher quality than the typical about 3 videos I put out a week. Yes, he did do that penny floor that I posted, but that was actually done by his older brother, who's again one of my best friends and really who I view as an older brother myself. Incredible family. Um, and when I moved to Kentucky, they really took me in. Really, they're the only people really still that I know around here, for the most part. Really know, and I can count on these guys for anything. They're really amazing. So I'm excited to work with him, and potentially for long term is the goal. in a management position, and he really wants to grow, and I'm excited about it. I did want to do a coffee trailer, but some costs came up. I just wasn't able to make it happen, and we're having to figure some things out. Part of the problem is my wife got on to me this summer about getting propane, and and I refused. And so we're just doing wood heat. And she's like, "Well, what if you throw out your back?" And whatever. So, but now I threw out my back and we're out of wood. So I'm hoping tomorrow I can get out there and cut more wood. I can't believe the timing of how this happened. I should have gotten more wood beforehand. My buddy Weston mentioned it helps that big knives are destructive, which makes them fun. Big knives are destructive. They are utilitarian and versatile if designed properly. They are, and they they support fantasy. They have an aura. You can do so many things with a big knife. Some people don't like big knives, and they would discredit what I'm saying or just not agree with it. But since they can do so many things, potentially do so many things, they have become like something more than just a big knife. They've become the center of people's entire survival ideology. And a lot of times that might be too much focus put on one tool. But really, if you learn how to use a big knife, they really can do an incredible amount of work. And so I can't tell you how many trips I've gone on with no small knife and no saw and no axe, just a big knife, and made it work. Not only made it work well. So they're just fun. They just I enjoy using them a lot. Um, so let's see here. Uh, a lot of the videos and a lot of the things that I've been saying lately will be taken as offensive to many people. The Politics from the Pulpit series will be expounded on, and and when I do Politics from the Pulpit, they will not just be a scriptural Christian message, but to many, they will potentially be offensive because, unlike pastors in the churches who are afraid of making money, I'm not. I'm going to give a message that I feel is necessary directly from the Word, directly, I believe, as it should be given, and not watered down and beaten around the bush. That'll push people away. And when I do my gun videos, that will also push people away. For today, I was on a Facebook group, and people were talking about poly lowers. Now, if you're not familiar, I'm currently testing one of my main AR builds on a polymer lower. I happen to have quite a few of them, and I do plan on running it through training and running it hard to see if it breaks or if it holds up, if it's worth the money. It's very important to me because they're a little bit more affordable. A lot of people are afraid of them, but I need to know firsthand whether or not they're quality before I say anything to my viewers. And so, but a post about a polymer lower came up, and some guy was like, I've got 1,600 rounds through my 9mm on a polymer lower with no problems. And it was just such a blatantly stupid comment. Uh, and when I mentioned how it really has nothing to do with what we were talking about, he became highly offended. And the problem is, um, the more that you know about training, firearms, combat, terminal ballistics, the less options that are financially and practically and logistically viable for the militia-minded patriot. And to be told that an option that you've already bought into and believe in isn't viable is offensive to people. People are looking for confirmation bias. So this pen here, I don't know why they sent me the Prepper's Bunker pen, because my business hasn't been the Prepper's Bunker for about 4 years. But if someone told me that this was the best pen in the world and I needed to save up to buy it, and it's $100 and I bought it, and then someone was like, this is stupid and here are the reasons why, even if no matter how politely they do it, um, I might be offended, especially if I've been looking for all of the reasons why this is the best pen in the world because I already purchased it. And incredibly, it's incredible to me, especially. Uh, you may see the same thing on Facebook or Instagram, but people will often post a picture of their important and um, to many expensive tool and ask people what they think after the fact. And I was like, if you care what people think, or if you want to know the quality of the product, shouldn't you ask beforehand? That's just not how people work. So, yeah, people get a little bit hurt. That's all right. Let's see here. Is there anything in particular that you guys have of me, or that? Oh, we do have a really big secret coming up for the family, by the way, but I can't tell you guys yet that part. We've got some exciting news that should be coming sometime soonish, and I'm excited about that. Okay, so if there's nothing that you guys have for me, we'll probably get this wrapped up. I have no doubt that I will remember uh, some things right after I get off here. I'll say, okay, so Charlie asked me to talk about Virginia. I can only talk about Virginia from what I read. I'm not there. But Virginia is in a similar position to Kentucky. They just elected a communist governor, but they have a Democrat run House and Senate. The importance and severity of the topic has, for the most part, brought out all of the worst kind of people. Because you have a large group of people excited for the Boogaloo, direct anti-government action from civilians over there who have no understanding of what that entails. You have a large number of people saying that nothing will happen and everybody is worried about nothing. And they are the people that empower these kinds of things to happen. And then, of course, you have the straight up communists who are hoping that guns get confiscated and that they can be taxed into an oblivion and made slaves. What's scary is a lot of what's happening right now, I said would happen before our 2016 election. It all does tie right into Donald Trump. And so the blue wave, it's a bad deal. And the reality is that heroes aren't going to step up. Things are going to get worse. Most likely things are going to get worse by minuta, but it is all leading down a path that we don't want to go. Virginia's is having the same problems as Vermont, Georgia, Kentucky, every single day, it's new sweeping gun regulation that I see being proposed and being put forward. And people keep saying that it can't happen to us. We're too conservative. We've got too many conservatives here, there, everywhere. So if it can't happen to you, then how did this commie governor get elected? And you can't tell me that it just happened because all of the morons in your population centers in your biggest city, because you let your biggest cities get to this point by um, allowing politicians to get away with bad laws and illegally bring people in. Slowly up to this point, you let things slide and said, oh, it won't happen to us. Oh, it won't happen to us. Nothing's going to happen for so long that now things are happening, but they happen slowly. Here's the deal. The government sucks at planning anything at the government sucks at doing anything. The level of incompetence at every single level and stage of government is just brutally and absolutely incompetent, and it's all ran as a socialist system. But the one thing that they're good at is getting their money. They're not good at spending it the way they say they're going to, but they're good at getting their money, and they are good at not getting dead. Our founding fathers stated that we had the right to the Second Amendment because the government was a self-serving entity, and this is what they mean. The government is going to feed itself and it's going to protect itself. Weston mentioned, and so Virginia specifically is talking about sending in the National Guard. Now, the National Guard, this is a whole can of worms here. The National Guard is specifically and constitutionally withheld from being able to do that until old Obama-Rama's executive order, I believe in 2015, allowing the military to do the contrary. Now, whether he did that or not, the military still did, and we, the people, us, and specifically my elders, didn't do anything about it. Like in Waco, when military and freaking Delta Force went in there, massacred a bunch of civilians coming out with their hands up, and nobody cared. And nobody was willing to do anything. Because guess what? If you're going to do anything about a corrupt government, you have to give away, and Ruby Ridge, you have to give up your comfortable house and your comfortable family and your comfortable little comforts. All right, so people in prosperity with power and work do not revolt. So whether Obama signed this into law or not doesn't matter. A contract is only valid if both parties are in equal seats of power. And if both parties have the means to hold the other party accountable. Just like the VA illegally sharing all of our medical stuff. I was just on a podcast with a nice guy, and this, that, and the other was said, and he said, well, the VA would never do that. They can't. They legally cannot do that. Well, they just did. What are you going to do about it? What am I going to do about it? Unless you are willing to take your Second Amendment right seriously and literally, and go shoot bullet holes in dirt bags in your own country, you have no power. Contracts mean nothing. The Constitution means nothing. Because unless the government is afraid that if they infringe on your constitutional rights that you will shoot them, there's no reason that they wouldn't. And you have proven, since the Constitution was ratified, here in Kentucky, it was only ratified in like 1977. Since the Constitution was ratified, we have proven time and again that we don't care enough about it to do anything about it. And the problem is we know how the government works. The government would not just kill me, okay, or you. The government would kill me or you. They would paint this big, elaborate picture about me or you that would make everybody hate us. They would use that to take any support that we would have away from us before we're killed. So, unlike in the Middle East, where the enemy can just blend in with the population, we could not. And then they'll kill you, and everybody will be glad nobody will do anything about it. PSYOPs. It's how it works. It's how all of our special warfare works. And it's at work right here in our own country. So, Weston mentioned it's the same thing that happened with Hitler. What we are seeing right now is exactly the political climate that we saw in World War II, pre-World War II. And people said that they had a choice to vote for the communists or the Nazis. I've been told, even by some of my military buddies, that this is too extreme. It's not. That the people are afraid to vote for the communists or the Nazis, but they had to vote for the better of the two because they had no other choice. So for all of the people that continue to say that we have no better choice, what you're doing is ensuring that your children will have to deal with that choice, not you. What you're doing is you're not doing what's best in the short term for the country. What you're doing is you are ensuring that your children and your grandchildren have a harder life than you because they are going to have to pay with their lives for the decisions that you made now so that you could have your electricity and your beer and your football. That's what you're saying. And I get it from veteran buddies. I get it from everybody. And this is why the Second Amendment community will never win, because they don't support the Second Amendment. They support the Second Amendment to the degree that they feel comfortable with. The problem is that's what the Democrats are doing too. They support the Second Amendment to the degree that they feel comfortable with. But to support the Second Amendment, which is an absolute, is the same as being perfect or sinning. If you commit one sin, you are not perfect and you deserve to go to hell, which is everybody. If you support one degree of infringement on Second Amendment rights, you don't support the Second Amendment. And if you don't support the Second Amendment, whether you like your guns or not, you are supporting the people taking your Second Amendment, which it should also be clarified that your Second Amendment rights cannot be given or taken. They are God-given. All right? So you pack your gun. The government doesn't have the right to tell you that you can't. And if they try to take that right, you tell them that they can't. The Second Amendment is about force on force. That's all there is to it. Weston mentioned that this is why history repeats itself. History, repeats itself because people are lazy, not only in understanding history, but applying it to their current situation. But the Antichrist will use the exact same tactics over and over and over and over and over again until they work. And they will work. And that is how all of this is designed. That's why we have so many similarities with Nero and the Antichrist, with Jerusalem, etc., etc., etc. All the same crap just keeps happening over and over again. But what they have to do is they have to create a world that is so technologically advanced that people are entirely dependent on the government, and alpha males and morality have been utterly destroyed before any of it can work. And we got really close to that in World War II. Just look how both Hitler and then Stalin treated Nazi Germany. Also, look at the relationship between Hitler, Stalin, Theodore Roosevelt, the Pope, the Catholic Church, every single country that was in power, all being best buddies, kind of like the Clintons and Donald Trump. The wars and rumors of wars are not what they appear to be. We fight not against powers and principalities. This is a fight of the spirit. It is the Antichrist against Christ, and the goal is always to make you think that the war is what it appears to be, but the reality is it is about getting the world closer to a one world government that is Antichrist led. So, on this topic, can America be fixed? No, it can't be fixed. The option for Christians is to leave or die. There's nowhere else to go. Can you take somewhere? Can you live completely off the grid somewhere? I want Attu Island, and I believe I could take it. And I know that I could live there, but it would be difficult. It's going to be hard to give this up to get there, and it'd be hard to get other people, my family included, to get there as well. The alternative is death of you or your children or your grandchildren. So, Virginia, it's going to be a suck fest. There are people in the National Guard who won't do their jobs. They'll be dealt with by the government. But the National Guard and the military has been inundated with filth and moral decay to the point where people want to go in there and get their college money, and they'll do what they need to do because they don't have any moral foundation. If they just have to be drugged up, that's what the government will do. They have no problem with it, and people have no objection to it. Yeah, he mentioned there will not be a safe place, an island, or anywhere. So we will fight and die or be raptured first. So I believe it's Matthew 23 and Mark 13 give the dispensations, as it's called by some people, our end time timeline chronologically, and the tribulation in its entirety comes very clearly in both points before any rapture. I'm starting to lead some Bible studies. It's going to be a lot of work, but I'm going to try and integrate these Bible studies into the YouTube. That's another thing that's going to be new for 2020, that's going to be under politics from the pulpit more often. It's going to be very difficult to do, and I have to weigh how I do it, because these videos are not about growing the channel. They're not about making me money. They're about being a fisher of men and getting the truth out there, and the truth is hard to find. So whatever you do for the acceptance or prize of men, therein lies your reward. And whatever you do for God specifically, your reward will be in heaven. So I want to find a way to share the message, but it can't be about me. It can't be about growing this channel. It can't be about making money. It can't be about making you like me or making people follow me. Heaven forbid. It has to be just about the message. I don't know if that means that I should simply turn commenting off and just leave the description box full of scriptures, or how I should go about that. Now, I have no doubt that it will lose me followers and subscribers much faster than it will gain them. So I have, um, I probably don't have to worry about that, but that's something that I'll have to pray about. Yeah, Weston mentioned he's read things about both ways with the rapture, so he has to be ready either way for whatever comes. Let me actually address this really quick because it's something that's much easier to get into and much quicker to get into than most people would believe, and there really should not be any theological gymnastics involved. Um, in this situation because it comes straight from Jesus's mouth, and he gives a direct uh, line here. So we have Mark 13 and Matthew 23 are the same; they support each other. Jesus is at the temple, and one of his disciples saith unto him, Master, see what manner the stones and what buildings are here. And Jesus answered and said unto him, Seest thou these great buildings? There shall not be left one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. Quick pause here. It's so irritating to hear people say, Jerusalem's been destroyed multiple times. This prophecy has already been fulfilled by Nero. Jesus didn't say there shall not be one stone left upon another because he liked to use flourish with his words. Jerusalem will be nuked, and there will not be a single stone left on another stone. No man is going to go through with swords or catapults or spears and destroy Jerusalem so that one stone does not sit on the other. Do not tell me that this has already happened, because nobody who can rub two brain cells together can be convinced that this has happened before, unless you just believe that Jesus is a liar, at which point what you believe is irrelevant anyways when it comes to Christian end times theology. There shall not be left one stone upon another. That's very specific. That shall not be thrown down. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives over against the temple, Peter and James and John and Andrew asked him privately, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign when all these things shall be fulfilled? And Jesus answered them and began to say, Take heed lest any man deceive you. So you have to listen to Jesus' words in these scriptures because other people are going to try to lead you astray. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And when ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, be ye not troubled, for such things must needs be. But the end shall not be yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be earthquakes in divers places, and there shall be famines and troubles. These things are the beginning of sorrows. But take heed to yourself, for they shall deliver you up to councils, and in the synagogues ye shall be beaten, and ye shall be brought before rulers and kings for my name's sake, for a testimony against them. This has happened. It will continue to happen. It's happening all over the world right now. It's going to get a lot worse for us. And the gospel must first be published among all nations, which it is. But when they shall lead you and deliver you up, take no thought beforehand what ye shall speak, neither do you premeditate. But whatsoever shall be given you in that hour, that speak ye. For it is not ye that speak, but the Holy Ghost. Now the brother shall betray the brother to death, and the father the son, and children shall rise up against their parents, and shall cause them to be put to death. We're getting very close to that, especially with these red flag laws and other stuff. This is being put into place right now. And if you haven't seen it, I just did a video about the importance of family in the Christian community, and it is vitally important, especially for those who are holding unsaved family around in high esteem, uh, in their closest circles. You never push your family away unless you need to for your own protection. But you don't be rude to them. You be a good testimony to them, but they cannot be in your inner circle and they cannot be in your preps or your plans because your family outside of Christ is nothing. Your family in Christ is everything, as explained by Jesus. Watch that video if you're interested. And ye shall be hated of all men. Man, we're right there. For my name's sake, but he that shall endure until the end, the same shall be saved. I just posted this thing about how Netflix is doing a show with gay Jesus. Now, I canceled Netflix a couple times, most recently because they were playing their God Bless Abortions whole gig comedy routine that they were so proud of. And the deal is that this kind of debauchery exists because the church is silent and because Christians are funding it. You are funding with your own money your own downfall. There are things we cannot avoid, okay? But there are things you can avoid. And so by using things that you can't avoid, if I use technology, I am directly funding the Antichrist, so I can't get a message out to anybody without using technology, so I might as well do all these. No. I might as well shop at Starbucks and Target. No. Garbage. Yeah, and so I just posted this thing about the gay Jesus on Netflix, and this dude got all butthurt, and I had to ban him. I don't care. Bye. If you don't understand how this is evil, then you're the enemy. You are God's enemy, you are the enemy of liberty, and you are my enemy. And to be against all of these evil things, they all come together, and you have good people that appear good. There are no good people. There are people that appear good who are not directly in our way right now, who support one or two of these things. But when you look at the broad movements of the climate change, evolution, homosexuality, etc., 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 liberals, abortions, all of these things come together not only against Christians, but against all liberty. It is all evil, it is all enslavement. The escape from this enslavement, contrary to what they will tell you, is Christ and the truth that will set you free. But once you're set free and you can see these things for what they are, it will be a burden for you, especially trying to help others. And you shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, but he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. But when ye shall see, okay, so this, after this has happened, what we have here, but when ye shall see, this is the next thing, the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, standing where it ought not, let him that readeth understand, then let them that be in Judea flee to the mountains. We have had Makadouche or whatever his name is in the temple, freaking doing whatever with pigs, and we have had people from Judea fleeing to the mountains already. Again, the Antichrist will do the exact same thing over and over and over and over again. And let him that is on the housetop not go down into the house, neither enter therein, or take anything out of his house. And let him that is in the field not turn back again for to those days. So when you see these things happening, and Uncle One World Government tribulation is coming, get the crap out of Dodge. Don't grab your stuff. Don't pack up your car. Get out and go. And pray that your flight be not in the winter. For in those days shall be afflictions such as was not from the beginning of creation which God created unto this time, neither shall be. That hasn't happened yet. There are specific requirements for this tribulation period that have not yet happened. So no educated Christian scholar can sit in front of me in good conscience and tell me that this has already happened and that this was Nero, because parts of it have not happened. I don't know how's that difficult to anybody. So, and I'm not calling anybody out here specifically. I'm talking about an entire movement here. Um, and except that the Lord had shortened those days, no flesh should be saved. But for the elect's sake, elect being an important word here, as I'm going to be getting to, whom he hath chosen, he hath shortened the days. Mark 13:20. I need that, actually. Where'd my pen go? I was just playing with it. Mark 13:20 for my Bible study I'm leading on Thursday. And then, okay, and then. So after this has happened, the next step. And then, if any man shall say to you, Lo, here is Christ, or Lo, he is there, believe him not. For false Christs and false prophets shall rise and shall show signs and wonders to seduce, if it were possible, even the elect. If it were possible, even the elect, which we know through John 10 is not possible, but it shows the power that these prophets will have. And when people get led astray by modern prophets today, it is very hard for me to understand, because we needed prophets in the Old Testament because we didn't have this Bible. What can a prophet tell us right now that we don't have in Scripture? And if they're saying something in addition to Scripture, chances are they're wrong. But we have to judge them by Scripture. I'll continue. But take ye heed, behold, I have foretold you all things. Again, the need for prophets right here. If Jesus Christ has foretold you all things, why do you need new prophets? And if we had constant new prophets, why later in Revelations do we have 2 prophets being raised from the dead? If we could just pick from any amount of prophets that are already on earth. Okay, but in those days, after that tribulation, okay, so we already have all of those things. In those days, after that tribulation, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars of heaven shall fall, and the powers that are in heaven shall be shaken. And then they that see the Son of Man coming in the clouds with great power and glory. We just had, but then in those days after the tribulation, followed by the Son of Man coming again. And so this the way that this the way not the way that this is written, the way that Jesus puts these things in order gives clarity to Scripture and gives clarity to your end times prophecy and gives clarity to theology. And there are key elements in the Scripture that the church doesn't want you to study and that they say is only for seminary. It's way too complicated for you to understand because they don't want you to understand it, because if you do understand it, all of this other crap that they use to twist the Scriptures, you'll realize is unnecessary. And then shall he send his angels, and shall gather together his elect from the 4 winds, from the uttermost parts of the earth to the uttermost parts of heaven. Now learn a parable of the fig tree. When her branch is yet tender, and putteth forth leaves, ye know that summer is near. So ye in like manner, when ye shall see these things come to pass, know that it is nigh, even at the door. Verily I say unto you, that this generation shall not pass till these things be done. Of course, generation here, being that this is prophecy, we have difficulty knowing what that particular part means. This says, father, birth, nativity, that which has been begotten, men of the same stock, a family, a several ranks of natural descent, the successful members of genealogy, metaphorically, a group of men very like each other. Okay. Especially in a bad sense of perverse nation, the whole multitude of men living at the same time, and age, the time ordinarily occupied by each successive generation, a space of 30 to 33 years. Well, we have different scriptural references for different um, times. And we also have different generations in the church, different different stages of the church. We had after Christ's death, we had the church spread around the world. Then we had Rome give power to the Pope over the church. Then we saw the church have to go into hiding as Catholics were trying to destroy the truth, destroy the church, destroy the word. Then we have the Protestant Reformation, which is a new age in which we likely still live, that is coming to an end. And after this Protestant Reformation age that we are still living in, we come into all of this poop fest. And once we come out of this poop fest, we're going to know that we are in the church generation that will be there. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. But of that day and of that hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels which are in heaven, neither the Son, but the Father. Take ye heed, watch and pray, for ye know not when the time is. So the most important part here, specifically for Weston, you are right. It should not affect your salvation or your theology when the rapture happens, because you should be watching for it and you should be ready no matter what. But you do have an obligation to watch for it and to be as educated about it as you possibly can, which will help you to watch for it. So I wish that you could be at the Bible study as well, buddy. And maybe someday you will be able to. Maybe someday it will become something bigger. But I have to get back into my YouTube app here so that I can see exactly what's being said. Usually I do this on the laptop. Oh, the wife's phone is terrible for this and about to die. YouTube. It's awful. Okay, here we go. So already we have Nemanja Nedolovic. I enter stream, I hear words, Jesus Christ, I lease stream. I love it how people like this can never write a sentence that's halfway decent. How about listening to people's practical approach to life instead, all one word, of listening to people from sex? So, bye, Felicia. Don't come back. So, anyways, guys, we're going to wrap it up. We got into the weeds a bit. I will be getting into the weeds quite a bit more. And really, what's great about this is as a Christian, I'm looking to improve myself in my fitness, my survival capabilities, and my fighting capabilities so that I can pass that on to my children or use it for myself if need be as a Christian. And if you're not a Christian, in my sharing of this information on reviews of products and of skills, you could probably pick something up yourself. But the reason that I do it all is because I am a Christian. And if you're totally against that, you miss out. Sucks. You could have got something for free from the enemy. But now you won't. Since you're going to be the enemy, I guess I won't miss out on you being better. I'm out, guys. Have a good night.